Good morning. It's Friday, December 6th, 7:47 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, local time here in Brawley, California. I just checked in for a shower, so I'm waiting on them to call me for a shower. There's two people in line in front of me. Now, for people who are not truck drivers, the normal way that we get showers is we use the app for the truck stop chain. Like, all the majors have their own app. Love's, Pilot Flying J, TA Petro. And you just check in for showers using their app. And whenever shower's available, it'll pop up and tell you, hey, go to this shower and here's your code to get in. But this truck stop is not on the app. So you have to go up to the desk and check in. And they have a list where they write your name and phone number down, and whenever a shower is available, they call you. So, figure I'll make a video while I'm waiting. This is what I normally do when I'm hanging out at the truck stop for like 2 or 3 weeks in between loads. Just hang out, watch TV, play video games, take showers. Check out all the people that are nosed in. No one was nosing in before I nosed in, and then after I nosed in, lots of people started nosing in. And I'm a little bummed out at the person that's parked next to me. I have a pickup truck hauling a trailer, which, some people really hate. Anything except a semi-truck with a trailer in one of these parking spots. There are some people that just really hate that. They even hate bobtails parking in these parking spots. I'm not that way. If you can't fit in a normal car parking spot, if it's illegal for you to park in a car parking spot, then I think it's perfectly reasonable for you to park in one of these spots. So that's not the reason I have a problem with that pickup parked next to me. I'm gonna go down in here into this ditch. I'm gonna set my shower bag down, and we'll go down into this ditch and walk back and forth in this ditch while I talk. Onion. Somebody tossed an onion out here. Just, man, look at this. This just gets worse every damn day. Somebody went out here. This was not here just a day or two ago when I was out here. Look at that. That is disgusting. There's like 4 or 5 piss jugs. The forbidden Gatorade. Don't drink that stuff. A case of beer. And a whole bunch of bags of trash. There's trash cans right there. And we have these truck drivers out here. There's another one nosed in. It just makes us all look bad. But yeah, the one of the reasons that nosing in is awesome is because of the trailer parked next to you that is blocking the noise and the sunlight. And that little pickup truck parked next to me isn't blocking anything. That's the reason I don't like having that pickup truck parked next to me. Hopefully they leave and somebody else parks next to me, because today is supposed to be the hottest day for the entire time I've been here. Up to now, the hottest it's been was 77 or 79 degrees. And today it's supposed to hit 81. And to give you some kind of idea of how big of a difference it makes in how you park, when I was parked normally, like we're facing south right now. This is south. So my truck is facing to the east. When I was parked normally facing to the west, and it got up to like 77 degrees, it was over 100 degrees inside the truck with the windows down and the fan going. But parked this way, to where the evening sun is mainly blocked by my trailer, and sometimes there's somebody parked next to me and their trailer is blocking it, it got up to high 80s, right around 90 degrees inside my truck. Like 77, 79 degrees outside, 90 degrees in my truck. With it really, really shaded. So it's about a 10 to 15 degree temperature difference in which direction you park your truck. Whether you're parked into the sun or facing away from the sun, at least for my truck. My truck has a horrible greenhouse effect. If there's direct sunlight on the truck, it transfers inside the truck, and the entire shell of the truck is like a massive heater that you're fighting against. I did not like my Kenworth that I drove as a company driver before this. There were a lot of things that I disliked about that Kenworth. But one of the things that was awesome about that Kenworth is it was really well insulated. Well, let me rephrase that. It was really well insulated, but it was not well made. The way that they put the parts together, they didn't put the parts together very well, so there were gaps in between the doors and stuff like that to where you could feel the wind blowing inside the truck. But aside from the gaps not being properly sealed, it actually did have some good insulation. You could sit in the truck in the middle of the day with the windows down, and it was like sitting in the shade. It was completely different than this truck. So what's going on with the loads? Well, there are good loads. I've done load board videos, and there are good loads. I haven't found exactly what I'm looking for. Almost all of the loads are picking up in San Diego or LA, which are 100 to 200 miles away from where I'm at right now. I'm really not wanting to drive 100 to 200 miles to pick up a load. That's not the major thing. Metro trailer. Let's see if this is the guy that did the hit and run. The guy that did the hit and run a few days ago was hauling a Metro trailer, a rental trailer. That person that just pulled out of that parking spot was hauling a Metro trailer. No, looks like he has a Ryder rental truck as well. That was the paint scheme on it. I didn't see anything that said Ryder, but the paint scheme on it looked like a Ryder. It might be an old Ryder used truck, or it might just be a paint scheme that looks similar. No, the guy that did the hit and run was in a bronze or gold colored Volvo, and it was Bohemian Carriers out of Las Vegas. But yeah, the loads have actually been pretty decent. I deadhead 200 miles to pick up a load all the time. So it's not necessarily the mileage, it's where I have to go. I don't want to drive into LA or San Diego to pick up a load. Now, if I get desperate, if I get to the point where I'm like, yeah, I need to get out of this area, then I will do it. But right now I'm not. I just delivered this load. This is my first week at the truck stop, and I usually set 1 to 2, maybe even 3 weeks in between loads. So this is completely normal for me to sit in between loads at the truck stop. Why do I do that? There's lots of reasons. Lots of reasons. Hanging out in the truck for me is not very different than hanging out at the house. The main thing about hanging out in the truck is I don't have my own bathroom and I don't have my own kitchen. So, and I don't have access to grocery. I have done grocery delivery in the truck. I don't like doing it, but I have done it. So yes, it is better to be at home, but I don't really mind being in the truck. A lot of people, they don't really have anything to do when they're in the truck. They don't have access to whatever their hobby is, fishing or whatever. My hobby is playing video games and watching TV. And I can do that in the truck just as easily as I can do that at home. The only thing that sucks is I have to, use the truck stop for showers and bathroom. So, me sitting at the house is more convenient. It's nicer. My home computer is faster than my laptop in the truck. But if I hang out in the truck instead of at the house, I get daily per diem, which is a tax write-off. I haven't checked to see what it is this year. Last year it was like $58 a day. So I keep track of every single day that I'm away from the house. You have to be, I believe, the rules state you have to be at least 90 miles away from your domicile, your home, for it to count as a per diem day. So all this time that I sit at the truck stop, just think of it as making like $58 a day. Because I'm getting approximately $58 a day in tax write-offs every day I hang out here. So it's better financially for me to hang out at the truck stop than to hang out at home. So, like right now, a video game that I want to play just came out. It launches today in a couple of hours, and I really want to play that video game. There are some nice loads on the load board that if that video game wasn't coming out today, I would book those loads. But it's going to be better for me to hang out at the truck stop and play those video games than to hang out at the house and play those video games because of per diem. One of the awesome loads on the load board right now that I would be booking if this game wasn't coming out today is a load that's picking up in Calexico, which I'm in the Calexico area. This is the Calexico, El Centro, Brawley, Heber area. There's a whole bunch of towns in this area. So that's picking up really close to me, and it's going to Spring Hill, Tennessee, which is kind of out in the middle of nowhere. It looks like I would have to be taking some bi-directional roads, but if I remember correctly, Spring Hill, Tennessee is one of those places that was really popular on USA Trucks load board, and there was like a Procter & Gamble facility there that paid really well. But anyway, that load's paying $4.20 a mile. It's like $7,800. That's the full rate. That's what the customer pays. I get approximately 70% of that. So, yeah, I would be... Oh, the only negative about that load is that it's a 42,000 pound load. It's a max weight load. And I have a heavy truck. So if it's actually 42,000 pounds, I'll be able to scale it if it's loaded properly. But the problem is that most of these shippers, they don't know the actual weight. What they'll usually do is they will just give you the weight of the product. Like let's say you're hauling containers of bleach. You know, little 1 gallon jugs of bleach. Well, they know exactly how much those 1 gallon jugs weigh, and they know exactly how many gallons of, how many jugs are in the trailer, so they'll use that to determine the weight. They won't factor in all of the pallets and the cardboard and the shrink wrap and everything else that they use to secure the cargo. And all of that can weigh a couple thousand pounds. So, yeah, I usually avoid loads over about 38,000 pounds because with my truck, it becomes difficult to scale them. Because I have so much crap in my truck, and my truck weighs more than a typical over-the-road truck. It's bigger, has heavier duty axles and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a lot of good loads on the board, and it looks like the brokers are getting desperate to move these loads, because I'm seeing the same loads posted over and over and over and over again, and the rates on them keep going up. When I did that load board video, I think it was on Monday, all of these loads were posted at like $3 a mile. Almost all the same loads that were posted on Monday are still getting posted. They didn't get covered. And the rates are higher now. Now they're paying like $3.50, $3.75 a mile. And I even think that this Spring Hill, Tennessee load was posted on Monday. And it was much cheaper than what it's posted at today. Now it's at $4.20 a mile. So these loads continue to not be covered. I'm not sure the reason behind that. I mean, obviously the reason behind that is that there are more loads than there are trucks. But I don't know the root cause. I know that a lot... Okay, so something that's not really being talked about in the news right now is the East Coast port workers. And that is a couple of big piles of crap that I just walked in. That I almost walked in. So, the East Coast port strike. If the East Coast Port Workers Union goes on strike, it will be much worse than the West Coast port workers going on strike. The West Coast port workers never ended up going on strike, and the government basically said that they would block it if they did. But the government did not block the East Coast port workers from going on strike. That was a political decision. I'm not going to get off rambling about, the politicians and how they don't really care about this country. But the East Coast port workers, that dispute was never resolved. They signed like a temporary contract to continue negotiations for another few months. That temporary contract ends, I can't remember the exact date, but it's sometime in January. I want to say January 15th. So how are those negotiations going? Well, last I heard, the union workers or the company, I can't remember which side, one of the two sides ended negotiations because the other side was being unreasonable. So we are most likely looking at an East Coast port worker strike in January. Is the government going to step in and stop it? I have no idea. We have a lame duck president. and he's doing some really radical stuff because he doesn't really care. Or his handlers. I don't even know if he's, has enough brain function to know what's going on. It's obvious that there are handlers that are doing stuff, and he's just a puppet. I mean, the Democrats have even made statements to that effect. It's like, he's had this issue for a while, and we've been dealing with it, so why are you so concerned about him serving another presidency? We have people that are handling him. He's just a figurehead because people are stupid and they vote for just like Mr. Popular. Voters are just dumb. But anyway, I don't remember the exact day that Trump goes into office. I think it's like January 21st. So if the contract ends on the 15th, they strike on the 15th. I don't think Trump will allow the strike to continue. I think day one, Trump will end the strike. But I don't know. I don't know for sure. He may allow it to continue. I'm all for union workers being able to strike to, get a better contract. The problem I have with the East Coast Union, the port worker union, is that they are so big that it's not a normal union. It's like the union leader said, he was going to cripple the country. The union is so big, and they control such a vital resource that it could devastate our country. Like, people could die. And we have laws on the books where the federal government is supposed to stop unions that big and that powerful from striking. I did not think that the federal government would allow that strike to happen, but they did. Luckily, it only lasted a couple of days. And we are probably still dealing with the ramifications of that just a couple of days strike. The last article I read on it said that the port companies said that it was going to take several weeks, possibly months, to deal with the backlog created from the strike from just a couple of days. So that may be why I'm seeing so much desperation to move loads over here on the West Coast. There may be a lot of freight diverting from the East Coast to the West Coast out of fear that they're going to go on strike in mid-January on the East Coast. That's one of the reasons that I got legal to be in California again, was because I thought this might happen. That's one of the reasons I'm over here, is because I thought I might be able to get some $10,000, $15,000 load this December because of the dramatic increase in freight being diverted to California that's bypassing the East Coast because of fear of strikes. And the rates are increasing rapidly. This week, the loads on Monday that were being posted for $3 a mile, on Friday they're being posted for $3.50, $3.75 a mile. And it's not just one or two loads. I have like 30 loads on my load alerts right now, and most of those loads are the same loads that were posted on Monday that are significantly higher rates being posted on Friday. Like, here's one, Moreno Valley, California to Dallas, Texas. They just increased it to $4 a mile. That load was like, I can't remember how I want to say it was like 280, 290 a mile on Monday, whenever or Sunday or Monday. The very first time I saw that load posted, it was like 280, 290 a mile. And the rate has been climbing all week, and now it's up to $4 a mile. They still can't move that load. So yeah, maybe I'll just keep waiting here for, sometime next week. These loads might be hitting $5 or $6 a mile. I might grab a load going from Calexico to Dallas for, like $8,000 next week. Little 1,400 mile load, paying like $8,000. That's what I used to haul in California. That's the reason I came to California. There's another one. Ocean Falls. No, that one's just $3 a mile to South Dakota. That's way too cheap for South Dakota. But yeah, everybody is reposting that Moreno Valley load for $4 a mile. That's a spot market load. That tells you how desperate these brokers are. These are spot market loads, which means that like every trucking company has access to that load. That Moreno Valley to Dallas for $4 a mile, that's listed on the spot market. Now, I don't know what it's listed at on the spot market, but the rate that the Landstar agents have negotiated for that load is $4 a mile. And they're not able to move a load at $4 a mile on the spot market. Again, I don't know what exactly it's listed at on the spot market, but it's probably $4 a mile. That's crazy. That is a really, really, really good load for the spot market. Spot market loads are amazing whenever we are at like all-time high freight markets. But whenever we're in a bad freight market, the rates get horrendous. So in a bad freight market, they bid the loads really low. In a good freight market, they bid the loads really high. You'll have people that will see a load sitting on the load board and they'll call in and, the load will be listed at like $4,500. They'll come in and say, yeah, I'll haul that load for $6,500. And the broker will laugh at them and hang up on them. And then after a couple of hours, the broker can't move the load. Then the broker will raise it up, and then they'll get another call from somebody else that offers something higher. They'll laugh and hang up on them, and then they'll eventually raise it up even more because they know that there are people out there that are willing to haul the load. The price is just too damn low. And that stuff happens all the time. Brokers are salespeople. They are the scum of the earth. Salespeople are the absolute scum of the earth. They will hang up on you. Like if you try to negotiate with them, a lot of times they'll laugh at you or hang up on you. Even if you're right. I'll give you an example of negotiations. This is not with a broker. This was when I was buying my house. When I was buying my house, there was a house that I was interested in that was listed for $140,000. I felt like the actual value of that house was $120,000, but I wanted it. So I offered the person $130,000. This asshole countered my offer by increasing the price from $140,000 to $141,000. He increased the price by like $1,000. And I told my agent, I was like, all right, I'm done with that person. I'm not dealing with them. They don't understand the market. They don't know what they're doing, and they're an asshole. That's what, like that person was not a salesperson. That was just somebody selling their house. But that's the mentality people have in sales, is they think they know what's happening. They think they understand everything, and they think they know what price is, going, what the price of the market is. But you have no idea what the price of the market is. It changes from second to second. You have no idea who the buyers are in the market. You can have an approximate idea, but you don't know for sure. So what ended up happening with that house? That person ended up sitting on that house. I followed that listing because I was so mad at that person. I ended up buying another house, and the house that I ended up buying was listed at $150,000. I ended up buying it for $120,000, and its appraised value was $190,000, but it was in poor condition. The owners did not maintain the property. That's the house that I have right now. It's a fixer-upper, and I've already dumped like $50,000 into fixing it up, and you can't even tell I've done any work on it because it's all been plumbing and electrical and stuff behind the walls. But anyway, that house stayed on the market for like 2 or 3 more years, and they ended up dropping the price all the way down. The last time I saw the house on the market, it was at like $120,000. So that person continued paying their mortgage and continued paying property taxes and homeowners insurance, all those, monthly costs of owning a home for 2 to 3 more years, and then sold the house for $10,000 less than what I offered them. And they were not living in the house whenever they listed it. Whenever I went and I looked at the house, it was completely empty. So that house probably sat completely empty for 2 to 3 years with them paying all of the, expenses of the house, and then they ended up selling it for $10,000 less than what I offered to pay for it. So that made me feel really good, because I hope that was a life lesson for that person. If he wouldn't have been so rude with his counter offer, then we probably would have been able to negotiate a deal. But because of and I wasn't rude with my offer. Offering $130,000 for a house listed at $140,000, that's not rude. If I would have come in and offered like $70,000, that would be kind of rude. But $130,000 for $140,000, that's not rude. So, yeah, hopefully that was a life lesson learned for that person. But yeah, my phone is just getting flooded with load alerts. That Moreno Valley to Dallas, Texas load, there are, I don't know how many Landstar agents that are posting that load onto Landstar's load board from the spot market. But now that the price has changed on that load, every single one of the Landstar agents are relisting that load for the $4 a mile price. I suspect that Spring Hill, Tennessee load is covered right now. I would check, but if I get off of the camera app, it'll stop the recording. Like last time I was out here recording, I think I was waiting on a shower, and they called me to come in, and they called me to let me know the shower was ready, and when I answered the phone call, it ended the video. So I should probably wrap the video up because they're going to be calling me any minute. But yeah, there's lots of good loads I could be taking right now. I haven't found exactly what I want. That Spring Hill, Tennessee load picking up here in Calexico is the best load for me that I've seen so far, because it's picking up really close to me. I don't have to drive into LA or San Diego to pick it up. And it's paying $420 a mile, $7,800. That's the full rate, of which I get about 70%. The only negative with that load is that it's a 42,000 pound load. It's really heavy. But as long as I can scale it, I'm okay with hauling that, because there's not really any mountains. There's no mountain driving between here and Tennessee. Now in Tennessee there are mountains. I think that the mountains are there. Oh, I can't remember exactly where the mountains are at in Tennessee, but they are in the eastern, part of Tennessee. There are some decent mountains. Are those the Appalachian Mountains? Appalachian Mountains? But I think Spring Hill might be on the west side of the mountain, so I wouldn't have to do any mountain driving. But even if I do, it should be very limited mountain driving. So this would mainly be flat land. One of the reasons I don't like hauling heavy weight is because it's so hard on the truck. And I talked about this in previous videos. I treat the truck like a battery that's really hard or really expensive to recharge. So I try to reduce the wear and tear on the truck as much as possible. So I haul light loads. I don't typically go up mountains in power mode. I keep it in economy mode. So it goes up mountains at lower RPM. High RPMs are harder on the engine. All right, let's go back up here. The direct sunlight is actually getting hot. I ain't getting the shade. Look at all this trash, people. All right, pilot's calling me. Have a good one.